Hi, Mayra. You look really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm feeling good, feeling better.
yeah. Well, so I appreciate you taking the time out. I know that there's some amazing stories that you have to share, not only being a respiratory therapist and an owner of a very successful salt therapy facility, but you've also been not only on the front line, you also had contracted COVID-19 and had a pretty good scare, both you and your husband. So first off, I just want to make sure, how are you doing and how's your family?
My family is all right. My husband is great and he's back working. So myself too, I am doing well. Only the shortness of breath persists a little bit. And I've been having problem with my right ear. But other than that, the crisis is over. I'm actually back fighting the COVID on the front line.
Yeah. So are you back working? Are you doing work?
I'm back working, few hours, few shifts. Sometimes I do, like this past weekend, I had to do 12-hour shifts, both of them. And sometimes I go for 4 hours, for 8 hours. I figure if I can help one person to breathe easier and better, I'm jabbing the virus. So that's
so tell me, so which facility are you working at?
I'm working at a local hospital out of Muhlenberg in Good Shepherd. I'm working at Good Shepherd Hospital.
And where is that located?
That is in Lehigh Valley in Bethlehem.
And this is in what state?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so people know Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Yeah, very good.
So yeah, I'm working for Good Shepherd in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Good Shepherd. Understood. Wow. So how's it going in your community? How are you all dealing with the particular outbreak in your community?
Everybody, I believe, is adjusting, rolling with the punches as everyone else. You go to the store and there's everything, and some people seem to be a little apprehensive, which is understood. We're just waiting to see when this is going to ride out, because it's taking a toll in many ways, I believe. I am getting ready because, as you say, I have a salt therapy facility. And can't wait to open up. As soon as we open up, I am going to offer the services to the community, because I believe it's going to be a major need for it. For respiratory hygiene, now that many people got sick, I think it's important for respiratory hygiene after contracting the virus. For example, in my case, I'm using salt therapy very often, almost every day. And I find that for the upper respiratory system works well for me. I have found out that my nasal cavities are very dry, and I feel like I have a lot of dryness on my throat. And for the shortness of breath, I do not have secretion, but it helped me open up the sinuses, which is one of the reasons why I start salt therapy. It helped me bring it up so I can had secretion from my nasal passages out. So what I'm doing is, when I'm open, I'm going to offer by donation only to healthcare providers, so they can relax between shifts that I know is very hard and stressful, and they can actually take care of the respiratory hygiene. So that is one of my plans.
Yeah. So in your area, are businesses starting to open?
Some of them that they're calling essential. Some restaurants are open, but curbside, you can order and then they can either deliver it or you go pick it up. Farmers markets actually are considered essential. As a matter of fact, my husband and I also have a small poultry farm, and we are opening our first farmers markets here on next Saturday.
Very good. So I do know that there are some places and some cities and states across the country that are beginning to open. And one of the things that people like yourself would like is for salt therapy providers, people that really have halotherapy facilities, to be somewhat, deemed as essential in terms of the things that you're talking about, being able to provide salt therapy treatments to local healthcare providers, to first responders. We've been working with other providers across the country in different circumstances where some are even looking at how they can be a resource for people that are recovering from COVID and being part of some clinical studies, as well as looking at how salt therapy may be related to being more of a preventive type of a treatment.
Exactly.
So as a, I spoke with a infectious disease doctor yesterday or on Saturday with Dr. Penn. Excellent. That will soon be talking a little bit about the types of studies that he's looking at doing. But as a respiratory therapist, what are your views about how are you using this now that you and your husband have had COVID, how this could be used as a rehab or a recovery mechanism?
I believe it's an excellent step to consider the salt therapy essential. Why? Because after you get hit with a virus like that in the lungs, I experienced it. It's nothing I ever seen in my line of duty neither. As I was experiencing the crisis, I just kept thinking, how am I going to treat this? It was just gasping for air. My lungs felt like they were squeezed and they were tight. And it was just devastating. I believe that post-treatment, as a complementary, it will be absolutely beneficial. I'm being benefit myself. I have the luxury that my facility is actually home-based. So I have a room right here. You bet that before I go to work sometimes or after, depend how the time is, I do my salt therapy. And it's a given. Like I say, it really hydrates my upper sinus cavity. And I, in the hospital, actually nebulize normal saline in another way. We do fluid. We put it on the medication along with the bronchodilators, and we do it as a nebulizer. So because
you're making reference to the hypertonic saline solution?
The hypertonic saline solution. So because a study been done that yes, it's very good for brake secretion. It helped control bacteria that cause pneumonia. And therefore, with the salt, it decreases the aggrevancy of the pneumonia. It also helps to expectorate because as a hypertonic it's binded to the receptor sites and it helps to mobilize the secretion. That is one of the reasons that it also works well with cystic fibrosis. Yeah. I believe that a study needs to be done, and I wish so that it comes to it, to see how will the salt therapy pertaining to the virus, especially to COVID, it will help. Because in my opinion, I think it will.
Yeah, right now, as I mentioned, there is a infectious disease physician who's looking at working.
That's excellent.
With a university under his guidance. He's looking at a few of the research students that are in school right now to enroll them in looking at this. And so obviously there's the quality of life type of measures that you're talking about and how it's impacting. But I think it will be valuable to somehow look at certain indicators and how dry salt therapy, similar to how there's been studies on hypertonic saline solutions. I know that Dr. Laish, one of the founding board members of the Salt Therapy Association, has done some of his own preliminary pilot studies, has written about it. He does a lot of work with people with cystic fibrosis. A lot of the mechanics that are in our Certified Halo Therapist program, both in Module 2 and the recent Module 3 that was just launched this weekend, really point to a lot of the hypothesis about the efficacy of dry salt therapy, not wet salt therapy.
No, the dry.
Yeah.
So it's the idea that, yes, it's being studied and it's proven that salt does help the respiratory system, especially the lungs, the upper respiratory and the lower part, which is the lungs. Yes. So that's why I believe that we need to make studies doing it and make it out there dry salt therapy. Maybe we can bring it to Congress. Maybe they can see if we can consider it essential. I believe that it will be a great help to the community if we can provide it, especially now. Now is when we really need to be giving it to the community, but yet we're closed because it's not considered essential. So that was a little bit harsh realizing that I know I can help and then I cannot provide it. I'm lucky because I can do it because I'm here and I seen the benefits.
Yeah.
I see the benefits. So it's important to do studies and bring it out there.
Yep. Yep. Right now, I know that we're getting ready to launch in supporting the Salt Therapy Association. There is a letter that was created for businesses to write to their governor or to their city and community leaders and Congress, et cetera, making a case for allowing.
That's the start, and that's how we're going to get there. I think it's a great idea.
So we created, later today, there will be, either later today or tomorrow, there will be something posted for Salt Therapy facility members on taking this letter and customizing it in terms of who you address it to. And along with it is a pretty extensive checklist, if you will, for guiding principles for reopening so that you can follow smart distancing, the right sanitation, the right disinfecting, things to consider. So if we can couple the communication to our government officials and educating them about the difference that salt therapy makes and how by following safe protocols, this can be deemed as something that we can open. That's what we want to encourage all of our facility members to be looking forward to.
I think so. And we indeed need to come up with some type of protocol and assure the community and the authorities that we are taking precautions, that we have some follow-up with the guidelines of the CDC and with our own, according to the environment. We need to put a list out telling that what is it that we're doing now differently. What are we using to clean up the facility? What are we using to clean the salt rooms? And to receive now, wash your hands when you come in, and we have the sanitizer and so on and on. It's important for them to know that we are taking the precautions.
Yeah. So that's great. And your husband as well?
He is, well, he got a pneumonia badly, more than I did. My problem is more because of the asthma. I do have asthma due to allergies. So I had a lot more problem breathing wise when it comes to gasping for air. He has a lot more problem with the pneumonia. He has one whole lung that was very compromised. But he's out there working, doing fine, no problems. I do still have the shortness of breath, like I said before. He seems to do a little bit better on that way than I did.
I'm curious, given that you are on the front lines, what is your conversation like and what is the feedback from your colleagues when you talk to them about salt therapy while they're on the front line with you about all this?
I've been talking to them and they think it's amazing. They actually all wish they can come and do it. That's what gave me the idea that I wanted to provide it so they can, as a preventative measure, for respiratory hygiene. So as a preventative measure, I want them to make sure that this is available. And they believe it because they can see actually also.
Yeah. Have you elevated at all to the facility in which you're working at, where if you had a salt booth somewhere, that it would be something of interest to them to look at? I have not
given that idea, but that is a great idea. I've been talking to the pulmonologists for a while, the pulmonologists that come to the facility and work. And, one of them told me that he knows of some patients that have bronchiectasis, that have doing it more in Florida. It's not widespread here in Pennsylvania yet. I'm hoping that we could get there and make the pulmonologists more aware of and to see if we can get them on board.
Yeah, well, I think, as you know, Dr. Leish is a pulmonologist.
Yes,
so whatever we can do to make people available and to have the right conversations or give people the right information to be sharing, I think is part of that. I know that we're also looking at, there are places that are providing grant money for research as well as utilizing some studies. Obviously, you have to be in an area where you have some significant population that was either exposed to it or has the potential. So obviously we don't want to just market salt therapy for people with COVID.
No.
I think there's a whole...
Because it's not, we don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, there's a whole... Right now, because of COVID-19, there's a more focused awareness about respiratory wellness. And while salt therapy has always been positioned as a non-invasive complementary treatment, now that it's on top of mind for people about taking care of these respiratory droplets and immune system and the health of our lungs, you would think that we could be positioning now for people to be really aware and wanting to at least try it, make it part of their...
I believe that. I believe that it's important to make the awareness because, in my opinion, I have a feeling that many people may be affected post-COVID, even long-term scarring or long-term repercussion in their lungs.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that that could be an issue in the long run. I don't feel my lungs the same. I'm looking into doing a pulmonary consult to see if I can go further study and further follow-up, because I know I don't feel the same. My lungs are not the same.
Yeah, well, that would be it. But I know that Dr. Penn is really interested in that. You know, can this be utilized in the rehabilitation and recovery for people that have gone through like what you have gone through? Obviously, you are doing this on your own in your own facility. So there's the self-measuring or the quality of life that you yourself are experiencing the difference. It would be interesting to know, are there ways to actually measure this?
Measure that. That's it. That's what we need to come up with, studies and pilot and control, so we can actually see the actual data and
Right.
therefore implement it, hopefully.
Yeah, very good. Very good. So what concerns you the most?
In regard of the lungs health?
Well, all of it. You have, it's interesting. And just by the way, Mayra, when you and I talk,
Mm-hmm.
the camera records whoever's talking, so we have to make sure what we finish. Otherwise, it jumps back and forth when we interrupt each other. So it's a habit that you and I both have. We always so quick to want to say. So let me ask it this way. You are in a very unique position for not only being a respiratory therapist, but also being a salt therapy provider, and you have survived COVID-19, you and your family, and you've been working on the front lines. So you really have a whole perspective of what's going on. So from your purview, there's a lot that you must be thinking about right now about and how this can work.
It's definitely, and you hit the nail in the head, because one part and then all of these other arrows repercussion, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed because, like you say, I'm experiencing from all angles. So it's like I'm trying to settle with what to think on this position, playing so many parts. It's like I'm playing so many parts, all regardless. And it's a little hard. And also we cannot forget the psychological aspect of the whole thing neither. So that's why I think even for the stress also, it's very stressful, very stressful. One reason why I want to come back to work in the front line as fast as I could, it is because of that. I figure that by coming back out there, trying to take my life back, I'm not letting the virus win. I'm doing everything. I did everything I could. That's why I immediately implemented the salt therapy, all sort of alternative stuff. Only 3 days of my 17 days of COVID crisis, I did not do salt therapy. Only 3 days. Those were the days that I was really, really bad. I was just gasping for air. I was doing nebulizer treatment every 3 hours. Other than that, I was just doing salt therapy regularly, sometimes twice a day. But I cut it like 30 minutes and then 30 minutes. When I didn't do 45 minutes a day, I did 30 minutes and then space it out what I could, what I was able to kind of be. On the front line, I see the devastation, and it's very detrimental. That's what I say. That I think that even after recovery, people may experience long-term effect on the lungs. It's something that we haven't seen. It's not just treating any typical pneumonia. It's not treating, you cannot use the regular settings on the ventilators that you use with some other issues that we are used to. So we just pretty much have to go with the flow. We do the best we can to really save the moment toward that person. Every individual is different also. What works for me might not work for other person. You know, I believe, I don't want to sound biased, but I believe that soul therapy really indeed helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to do other people, because I try to restrain myself a little bit, because people might say, oh, she owns the facility. And I don't want that, because I'm an honest person. And for the crisis, I don't think it's going to do much on the crisis. That's why when I was having the severe crisis, I didn't do the soul therapy, because you just need a bronchodilator and steroids at that point, right? But then preventative, also before I got sick, I used to do what I'll do between shift. Between I used to go to work, I used to take my vitamins, do my soul therapy either before I went to work, the night before if I was going to start at 6:30, and then I did heavily every day when I was sick. And now.
Yeah, no, very good. And that is something to be looking at. I know that we really can't develop specific protocols and recommendations of use and everything else. And that is the direction we need to go in. And as you know, there are people that have cystic fibrosis and are doing salt therapy on a daily basis. Many of them have their own salt booths and different, ways of getting salted. And so, I think you've got a great story. Obviously, you're a warrior out there. We love watching you in part of the Salt Therapy Association, with sharing your story with all the other facility members and being a resource. I know can only imagine what it's like to be on the front line and experience what you guys are going through. And we're just very fortunate for the kind of work that you do. And being part of the Salt Therapy tribe, and you being a real advocate of it, I think can make a real difference. And, we just want to keep communicating and making more people aware and educating people. And then also being able to get other people in the community aware of the difference that salt therapy can be making, so that you can be safely providing salt therapy to other people around you.
Absolutely. I love education is a key. People need to be aware and educated. An informed client, an informed individual is an individual that we can help better. Because if they understand what's going on, then they're more open to receive. I actually use the farmers market to create awareness toward the halotherapy. I bring my poster, I bring the card. I have education cards are excellent, by the way, thank you. I think I have them all, rather than the latest one I need to get. And I pass them out. People love to read, and education is a key. We definitely need to be doing more education so people know in depth.
I know, Mayra, some people just wonder, just as an aside, personally, where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. Yes.
That's where we have the accent. That's the accent.
Yeah, maybe, yes.
Yeah. And what other languages do you speak?
Fluently Spanish and English.
Gotcha. And have you, down here in Florida and in other parts, we have some people that do have a larger Hispanic background. As you know, the Salt Therapy Association has many of its educational cards in Spanish. And so we're always looking for how to create some of our materials a lot more bilingual for the rest of the market and the community that's out there and around us, especially with us being headquartered in South Florida. So we're always looking at doing some of that work.
Actually, in my area, I don't have a large percentage of the Spanish population. I
Yeah.
do, but it's not as like in Florida or maybe let's say New York City.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, and I do know that we have salt therapy providers in so many different countries. So, yeah, I mean, just put it this way, there's so much education and awareness for us to do in this industry, whether it's even going to some of the companies in your communities now and creating corporate wellness programs. So either they can have a salt booth in their own facility or a salt room, which we just completed a project here locally with a company who they want to now start having meetings in their own salt room. And so you're starting to see a lot of different ways, like with your own business in your community, how you can become the epicenter of salt therapy and take this and branch it even out further into the community.
I think it's excellent. I think the doors are wide open now for the salt therapy industry because it's globally the need and the awareness of the respiratory therapy, the respiratory system well-being is out in the open. We'll see how many people are suffering, how many people, and this is going to continue. And not only for that, it's also the relaxation part, which is also being, going through this crisis. A lot of people are very stressed out. By sitting in the salt room, breathing the pure salt, they relax. If they have any lighting, they take the time. They don't even know that they breathe in the pure air. And by relaxing over there, they are doing all together. I'm very eager to really go out there open, and I'm going to be offering many of my clients. Can't wait. They've been emailing me. I've been in contact with her. I actually send my videos. I told my story to them, and they're very appreciative. They appreciate that I told them. When everything started, I had made a COVID protocol. What we're doing differently here. I send email to everybody. They also did appreciate that. And they can wait. They cannot wait for me to open. Everybody is more awareness, like you say.
Yeah. Well, I strongly urge you to take a look at reaching out to the governor of Pennsylvania and your local city officials with the letter and let them know your story of being not only a licensed respiratory therapist, an owner of the salt therapy, but as an owner of a salt therapy facility, and the protocols that you're taking, as well as your mission about how you want, initially to the healthcare providers and first responders, whatever we can do to assist you and do. Yep. You okay?
Starting to get a little tight.
Yeah. No, same here. So yeah, let me just rephrase that. I strongly encourage you, Mayra, to be able to go to the governor or to some of the local local officials to really communicate your story, as well as the protocols that you're adopting, so that you can be deemed as an essential business right now, especially with the mission of providing the therapy to healthcare workers, first responders, and others. So whatever we can do to support you with that, please let me know.
Please, yes, absolutely. I love if I can get that letter.
Yeah.
And then I'll accommodate it, and I will also my protocols and what we're doing different in the facility to make sure that the community is safe. And we're doing this with high awareness of how important it is to make sure that everybody is safe, and we are following with the CDC and the authorities guidelines. So it's important that they know that we are doing that. And I will contact the authority and the governor.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, very good. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Any questions or anything else that you have for me or anything you want to ask or say?
No, that's it. I think the booth idea is excellent. Because it's something that we can bring it to offices. We can just, like the booth idea in a hospital lobby, it will be absolutely great. So in the future, when things calm down, I will look, because almost every hospital has some wellness part. So maybe if we can make them aware that's a possibility, we can look into it and see It's a lot. It's a lot of work to do it, but it's doable. Everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We even have we haven't launched it yet, but at Salt Chamber, we have a shipping container, something that's 8 feet wide by 20 feet long, that has been taking a new shipping container, and we've completely outfitted as a transportable salt room that has all its own HVAC, UVC,
Great.
sterilization. You could put it in the parking lot at a hospital, at a shopping center. You could use it as a pop-up facility, so it could be somewhere for, say, 30 days or longer at a time. And it's designed to be the best type of salt therapy in controlling the salt concentration and the sanitation and disinfection.
That's great news.
Yeah.
I think.
A lot of good stuff.